to the audio show.
So here come the writers seeing exactly if they can, test Anthony fans to see how much they can actually take. Well, let me not be the bearer of bad news, but it is what it is. I have to call it balance. Let's get into it.
You know, things are what they are. But when you have been with someone for that long, there's emotion, there's anger, there's unresolved issues, there's all these things that all kind of try to come out at once. So I'm sorry that you actually didn't see that.
No, it's all good, but
So she's basically, in case y'all don't know what's going on, she's trying to tell Anthony about Brody, you know what I mean, and the whole idea of Brody and the things that she's gone through with Brody. But at the same point in time, he should leave Amber. What kind of sense does that actually make?
pretty sure all the things that you all have gone to haven't always been bad. Like, I'm pretty sure there's some good times. Like, okay, what made you fall in love with Mr. Brody?
You in these questions.
We getting to know each other. That's you. You got me out here.
Okay.
You said we were getting to know each other.
Touche. So, what made me fall in love with him? It was his relentlessness. Some people say that chivalry is dead, but that is not true. When Brodie and I first met, he was the kind of guy who would open car doors. We go to a restaurant, he's opening the door, he's bringing flowers and candy. I'm like, I don't even eat nerds. Why are you bringing me this? But he would always have something to give.
So Brody is not all bad is what you're saying. All of a sudden now Brody is not all bad because that's kind of what you've been selling the audience. In fact, you've been selling it so hard that other women who see this and who may have gone through something similar has started to internalize this. But let the record stand that Brody has not been all bad. That's what you're saying.
And he was just the kind of guy who would show up at my house in the middle of the night and try to sing ballads. I'm like,
Mr. Brody was singing to you.
yes. I'm like, bro, it is midnight.
Stop that right there, sir. Brody definitely can't sing, so we're not quite certain exactly how Brody singing was going to win you over. But I guess it's a gesture. I don't know. Maybe that's what it is.
Well, what are you out here doing singing in the middle of the night?
That's crazy. That's crazy. I never would have thought Mr. Brody was a singer. Was he any good?
But I give him an E for effort.
All right.
And that's the reason. That's what really. My heart, I just couldn't hold on to it because he was just the kind of guy who was like, I'm going to love you. I'm going to be kind to you. And he said something to me one day that just it was the tipping point.
What did he say?
Even if I had nothing, I would give you everything.
Wow. I mean, well, if he has nothing, how can he give you anything?
We're not talking about money. We're talking about heart, courage, physical protection, prayer time.
Okay, so what they're trying to do is they're trying to make it look like Angelina now has something to give to Anthony. Again, I have my reservations on this and I'm going to tell you why as far as time come by. But let's just say that basically what she's saying is valid and is good advice for her to listen to.
I mean, just everything that a person can give you that you cannot put in your bank account. The things that really matter. And it was like that for a long time until the money showed up.
So now the money is a problem. In other words, the money is an issue. Since the money has shown up, it's now an issue. Interesting.
Hey, look, I didn't mean to pry.
No,
I'm sorry.
You're not prying. It's just that a man who has a lot of money and things and stuff really shows who he is when he has that. Because when he doesn't have it, of course he can say, I'm going to be loyal. But once the dreams have been realized and the bank account is full and your stomach is full and you've been on trips and you're buying all the luxury things that you could want, who are you? Are you still you at the core?
So let me ask that question then to you, Angelina, because that's a good statement that you're bringing forward to Anthony. And Anthony does need a statement like this. But my question is Angelina living by all of this? Because now that the money is here for Angelina, because the same thing can be said about Angelina. Angelina is in a spot right now where all of the money is there. And that's all she talks about anyways, because when she talks about Iman or she talks about Anthony, she's only talking about them in terms of money. In fact, if I'm incorrect, she never liked Arby and then didn't like Mike because they didn't believe that they had enough monies. So everything she's giving Anthony as advice is the same thing that can be said upon her as well. So the question lays to believe, is she in a place to even be offering this advice at all? I think not. I don't think so. I just don't believe so. What kind of place is Angelina in to be giving this actual advice in itself? Oh boy.
And that's the man that I fell in love with. And then he disappeared off of the face of the earth.
Yeah. Here, let me get your door.
And again, Anthony buys this story because apparently this is where he buys his stories from. I guess his stories don't come from anywhere else, which I don't know if he buy it or not, but it seems like, he's internalizing whatever it is that she's saying. Look, it sounds good, and what they're trying to do is them can whitewash the Angelina character. Say, oh, Angelina is not all that bad, her thing with Brody, she really was trying, and now she has ended up on hard times. Well, answer me this. If Angelina is this morally sane person that they're trying to paint her out to be, which by the way they're challenging the audience and they're challenging females. If she is this moral and is this just and justified in her actions with Brody, and yes, she's a great wife. If that's what we're being sold and told, then let me ask you this. Why is she still trying to get Shayla to go with Anthony, even though she knows that he's a married man? In fact, I'm going to go a little bit further and ask, why did she in the first place try to get her daughter with a married man? And until she can answer that question and show me that would lead her in the right of things, then basically you can tell that she's off. You can tell that nothing that she says I can't listen to, nothing that she says I can't take as example, and that is exactly why her advice now becomes compromised. Because we have seen her in those notions. I don't know what this is that Anthony's having, and again he's talking to a bunch of women. And I'm not saying nothing is wrong with women, but I'm just saying at this point, I don't think Anthony need advice from hear me out, ladies, because I don't want you to get this as like a sex thing. That's not what I'm saying. But I think Anthony has gotten enough female advice. He's gotten advice from Coco. Name the women in Anthony's life. They have always brought advice to him. The advice Anthony's lacking is solid male advice. That is the advice that Anthony's running from. Because female advice sugarcoats things, because yes, women have a calmer, a smoother nature than men that are just rough cut and go and put it inside of your face. But give me a take. I'll talk to you soon. Like, share, comment, subscribe.